Greetings, Conrad Kaskowski with the Plymouth American Legion, and with me is Dwayne Wick, also with the Plymouth American Legion, and I'll have to have him explain his hat and everything. So we're here with Vet2Vet, and Dwayne, why don't you explain your position again?
Okay, well, the white hat designates that I'm with the department level, Department of Wisconsin American Legion, and I was appointed as the historian for our commander for the state of Wisconsin.
Okay. Now, it's been a while, right, since we've been?
It's been a while. It's been a while since we had the last show. So what are we going to cover today?
Well, Dwayne, we're going to be covering a topic that will actually have to take 2 shows to complete.
Okay. Well, what might that be that would take 2 shows?
Well, a place that you have heard hundreds of times, but do you really know the place? And in fact, prior to walking out here, you said you've been there. So that's kind of a lead-in.
Okay, well, yeah, you have my curiosity up.
Okay, we're going to be covering Camp American Legion.
Okay, yes, I have been on there there a couple of occasions, helping to open the cabin before all the regular veterans get there. So this will be in the spring of the year. The cabin isn't open during the winter, so there's a lot of work to get the cabins opened up and things going for the regular season.
Okay, and as a lead-in, what do you know about Camp American Legion?
Well, I know that it's specifically for veterans, and we're not sure. It may be the families of the veterans. We're going to check into that with our next show. But this is a place for a week of rehab and rehabilitation for veterans.
Okay, yeah, that's just the basics, and it's correct. The history of Camp American Legion actually starts in 1924. The Legion was aware that many veterans from World War I were in need of a place for the sick and the disabled. And they needed, basically, as you had pointed out, rehabilitation. So they got a committee together, at being the American Legion for the state of Wisconsin, and they discovered a camp. This was actually the name in my research, Camp Mini Wawa. I didn't make that up. You can look it up. Google it. Camp Mini Wawa is located on land between Little Tomahawk and Carr Lake in Oneida County.
Okay, and I forgot to add that that this is cabin, or this camp is open to all Wisconsin current military active, reserve, National Guard, and honorably discharged members. And the land that that this camp was on at that time, what was?
Okay, well, it was a camp, an actual camp, and it had been used since 1912. And it was operating exclusively as a girls' camp on state-owned land. The Legion negotiated with these owners for the buildings, the equipment, everything that was on this land for the princely sum of $25,000. Now, today that's like, chump change if you're going with buildings and equipment.
Sure.
So, but we're talking in the era of 1925 for $25,000.
Okay. So the Legion camp came up with that amount of money?
No.
Okay.
There was a state law passed roughly in June of 1925, and at that time it was called Soldiers Rehabilitation Board of Wisconsin.
Okay.
Today, it is called the Wisconsin Department of Veterans Affairs. And they authorized to transfer the needed monies from their board to the American Legion for the exclusive purchase, exclusively to purchase those buildings and equipment on that land.
Okay. So what about that land that the buildings were on?
Well, there must have been some very, very skillful negotiators within the American Legion at that time, because these fellows negotiated with the state of Wisconsin a lease for that land to be used as this rehabilitation center. Unfortunately, well, anyway, for today, there's no known copy of that lease in existence, and that does become an issue later on in our discussion. So, officially, on June 1st, 1925, the Wisconsin American Legion officially opens Camp American Legion as a veterans restoration camp. Now, these are terms, that were used back then. Restoration.
Okay. So how much land was included in that original lease?
Well, when I was doing this research, it looks like the previous camp had 75 acres. However, in 1927, and again, you can hear about this, this changes. There's legislation which was to include a forest, preserve, and game refuge. And this was the American Legion Forest, Preserve, and Game Refuge, not park, but a forest, okay?
Okay.
And under the control of the State Conservation Commission, and this increased the acreage to 182. Now, when I mentioned that forest, today, that area up there, which is called, what I just previously said, but it's 230-some thousand acres.
Wow. Okay. Wow. So the camp, Camp American Legion has 182 acres?
Well, no. There was another change in the lease agreement. Now, this is the first known written lease agreement with the state and the American Legion, and it is dated March 21st, 1929. Here it mentions the 182 acres agreement. So with the State Board of Commissioners of Public Lands, it was called the State Board of Commissioners of Public Lands, goes into June 15th, 1944. Another lease comes about. Now this adds additional acreage to bring the total to 302 acres. This lease that we're talking about was in full force and effect until 1964.
Okay, so then something happens after 1964?
Yes, and through a course of time, and it's a little hazy of what was happening, the lease now goes back, after 1964, it goes back to the original 75 acres.
Okay. I think you're about to say that there was possibly another change.
Hopefully the last change. It's in 2014. I can recall that there was, and I think you remember these days, there was a lot of discussion with the state and informing the state of the value of the mission of the camp. And at the time, the increase of veterans, and this was due to the war on terrorism,
Sure.
war taking place in Iraq, Afghanistan. And so again, there was a needed place for veterans for rehabilitation for psychological and physical injuries. So the state finally agrees, and believe it or not, they added the extra land to bring that total back to around 302 acres. So in 2015, the American Legion is now granted that additional acreage. Now, I know that you pick up after 2015 as far as what was going on.
Right. So now from that point, the Legion acts quickly to make a major improvement on June 1st of 2016. The camp opens a mile-long hiking trail, And however, this isn't just an ordinary trail. This is completely wheelchair accessible. And with donations and physical labor, the trail is opened as the Gary Wetzel Trail. And Gary Wetzel was awarded the Medal of Honor for his heroic action during the Vietnam War. And he's been a frequent visitor to the camp.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to meet Gary, and it's just an incredible story of his bravery. But we do know, and the improvements didn't stop there.
No, they didn't. And in 2017, there was talk about having a specific cabin that was donated to the families that have loved ones either killed or missing in action in the service to their country. There were designs, and then there were more designs, and of course, a lot of discussion about the use and the name of the cabin. The American Legion Family Cabin, as it was named, opened at the end of May of 2021. The cabin features 2 bedrooms, full-service kitchen, a large family room, and a large elevated deck overlooking Little Lake Tomahawk. The funding for this cabin was the result of contributions from all the Legion posts in Wisconsin and groups within the Legion. In a matter of months, the funds for this place were all in place to start the project.
Well, the thing we haven't said is, where in the world is this place? Well, it is in Oneida County, and it's on County Road D, like David, between highways 51 and 47. So if you have to look at a map, find Oneida County, find Highway 47 and 51, and in fact, D connects the 2 of them together. And again, this is part of the 230 acres of called the, or 230,000 acres
yes,
of Northern Highland American Legion State Forest. And this forest borders Iron, Vilas, and Oneida County.
So that was the comprehensive history about Camp American Legion, and it looks like we're getting close to running out of our time for this show.
Right. Now, in the second segment, we're going to explain to you how to make an application, where to find that application, the amenities, which are just going to amaze you, what's available, and how all of those amenities actually come apart. And there are specific weekends designated, for instance, women veterans, there's paraplegic, I think, a week. So, we're going to explain all of that. So next time, we want you to stay safe, healthy, and strong. Thank you for watching.